Okay, let's go ahead and get into the project setup. So basically, when you log in, your dashboard, you will see no projects. So let's go ahead and add one. So we go to Project Administration. You'll see here the list of projects that you have created. Once we get a few in there, let's go ahead and add one, and we'll call it my first project. And you can also put a description. So this is the project description. And you can either set it to never be due, so it's just an ongoing project, or you can assign an actual due date. I'm going to go ahead and just assign one. And you can also set a budget for that particular project. So I'm going to say this one's 5,000. Now you can also assign the people to this. So these are the two users that we created in the last module. So I'm going to actually assign them both to the project so that we can give different tasks to each of them. And we'll go ahead and add it. Okay, so once you add that project, you will see really a good snapshot of that particular project. So you'll be able to edit it, view the description that you entered. We hide that by default just in case it's a long description so that it keeps everything kind of up on the screen. Your budget, the amount of days that until it's due. And then you can also close the project from here. And what this will do over here, the percentage, is just keep track of the percentage of tasks completed versus what's been created. So it kind of gives you a quick snapshot as to where you are in the project based on how many days are left. You'll also see a calendar. As we start to add tasks, you'll start to see that they'll populate here. And you can also add a task or a milestone to any of these days right from here as well as kind of a quick add feature. You'll notice time tracker. This is where people will go to log their time. So that will basically play against the budget. So you'll be able to see that. And it'll also keep activities. So whatever activities you have going on, it'll basically is just a log to kind of show you, what you've or what people are doing in the system. And you can export that as a PDF or an Excel file. So really from this point, we have our snapshot. So now we're going to want to go ahead and create a milestone. Now, a milestone is basically a container for a bunch of tasks. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a couple of these, and we'll just call this milestone number 1 and the milestone number 1 description. Can't spell today. Okay, and then we'll put a start date of, let's just say it's today. And we want it to end on, let's just call it Tuesday, that day. And we'll go ahead and add that. Okay, so there's milestone 1, tells you how many days it's until it's due. You can edit and delete it. And let's just go ahead and add another one right away. And we'll call that milestone 2 and milestone number 2 description. Okay. All right, and for this particular one, let's say, the other one was due the 14th, so let's start it on the 15th, and we'll end this one on the 18th. And we'll go ahead and add that one. Okay, so now you're going to see two. You have a current milestone that falls within the date range of today's date, and then what's upcoming. So the next step we're going to want to do is go ahead and start adding some tasks to these milestones. Okay, so you'll see right here that there's, here's the task for milestone 1 and the task for milestone 2. Right now there are none. So let's go ahead and add one. And we'll call this task number 1, and this will be for basically the project manager. So we'll say set up all tasks for project. Okay, and we're going to want them to start that today, and we're going to want it done tomorrow. All right, and we're going to assign that to the project manager. Okay, so there's that. Now we'll go ahead and add another task, and we'll give that one to I think the developer here. And this one will be, say something like set up, infrastructure. Okay, and for that one, we'll want them to start Monday, and let's say we want it done, let's go with Wednesday. And we're going to go ahead and assign that to the developer. Okay, so now we've got, you'll see the days out. That's how long they have until it's due. You can edit and delete from here. So, if we go ahead and click into that particular task, you'll be able to see, that's it, that's the description. So this is what that particular user will see. Now, one thing I do want to show you is, let's go ahead and get back to the project dashboard. Okay, so as you start to add milestones and you go back there, you're going to see this milestone tree, which basically just gives you a little breakdown, and you'll see, which milestones are there and which tasks are underneath it, just as a quick view. So you can open them all, close them all, just a nice quick view for it. So the other thing I want to show you is let's go ahead and log in as the developer. So I basically just pulled up another incognito screen here. And we'll use this, I believe it was test1 at test.com, and testing1 was the password for the developer. So here's what it looks like as I log in as a developer. And it'll show the task. If you notice, it only shows the task that was assigned to the actual developer, not the project management task. So it gives them a quick snapshot and doesn't clutter up their view for things that they need to do. So now if you'll notice, when I go in here to this particular task, and this is where permissions come into play. So right now, this particular user has the ability to edit this particular task. So they could click it and go ahead and do whatever editing they need to do and change it. Now, if you don't want them to do that, that's why we give you such a robust permission set to set up, and you can set up many different types of roles. It just really depends how you want your business to run and how you want these projects to run. What you want to give access to and what you don't. So when a project manager were to log into this, they would basically see the just the particular task that they were assigned. So let's go ahead and hop back over here. Okay, so now that we have a couple of tasks assigned, let's go ahead and take a look at messages. Hit that next. Okay, so this is basically just a little in-app messenger, and now this is where setting up your email, the SMTP emailing service would set up so that the people are notified by email when a message is sent to them or a task is assigned to them, and so on. So let's just say, hey, this is a message, okay, and then we can put in some sort of message. You can choose to attach a file. Right now we don't have anything uploaded into the system, which is basically your files here, and we'll get to that next. But you can also attach it to a milestone to say, okay, this is in relation to milestone number 1, so let's go ahead and do that. And then you can assign, you can have it sent to all people, just the developer, the administrator, which might be management at that point. For this one, I'll just leave it as all, and we'll go ahead and save that. Okay, so this basically now is getting sent, to everybody, and you can take a look at it, and you open it back up, see what it is, and you'll see the thread of emails as people start to reply to these, to these particular messages. Okay. All right, so the messages is very simple to use. It's a very basic messaging app, but it's very powerful because it's just a quick way to to communicate with each other if you don't want to do it right through the tasks, and also a great way because then they're notified through actual email. And you can also export these messages as a PDF if it's something that you just want to archive or document. It's really up to you. And now your file system. There's a couple things you can do here. You can start by adding a folder. Okay, so right now it's just the parent folder is the root directory. But let's just say we want to say, my images. And we'll go ahead and add that folder. Okay, and there it is right there. You can click into it, see what files are there. But we can, go ahead and you can add to whichever folder you would like to. You can choose to upload it from your machine, and you can also notify people when it's there, or just don't notify nobody. It's really up to you. But you can add those, and you'll see there's a maximum of 250 megabytes, which is pretty large for an image. So you can attach those things and then attach those to the messages as well, as I showed you when we were creating a message. Okay, so looking at the next tab here, it's basically user. This is just people that are assigned to this project. It's just a quick way to get in there when you're in the project setting. You can edit, delete, remove them. Actually, it wouldn't delete that. It would just remove them from the project and so forth. And you can also add people to that project here as well. Next, we have the time tracker, which is basically going to be blank because nobody has tracked any time yet. So this is a way to keep track. You can export those as PDFs. You can filter the report as well. To see, to drill down just by one person, by one project, whichever thing, however you want to basically filter those reports. Okay, so at this point, what we probably want to do is, now that we have some tasks signed up, we've got a project in there, is let's go ahead and hop back to, oh, actually here, let's take a look at this. As you'll notice now, there's tasks there, so you can see when they're due, when they're not. And it just gives you a nice little snapshot there. Okay, so if you'll notice, you can go ahead and refresh if you need to. Here is the developer's dashboard. So let's just say I wanted to track some time. I went ahead and did the task. We want to put some hours to it. Let's just say it took me 5 hours, and I can also put a comment there like, you know, everything went smooth. And we can go ahead and pick the task that you can bill against, and we want to do that for this one. So we'll go ahead and add that time. Okay, great. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at project here. Okay, so what we'll do is now that we're in there, we can take a look at the time tracker, and you'll notice that's where it's showing up. So developer on this date added 5 hours. You can go ahead and click on that as well, so it's going to show you the projects that he's assigned to again, and his time tracking, you know, in relation to just this particular user. So that's another way that you can kind of keep track of what's happening there. And that concludes our walkthrough on how to set up and administer a project.